We are live. You can go ahead.
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, very good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is seminar number 5, quarantine edition from WFM Media. And today we cover some interesting topics as my co-founder Ahad will introduce that subject to you. But it's looking like a bright and sunny Saturday here from Delhi. And weather looks good outside, except for the fact that we have to manage the crisis. Rest is all fine. And I leave it to Ahad now to introduce the speakers as well as the subject. Ahad?
Right. So today's webinar is on integrated facade systems for symbiotic built ecologies. So our presenter for the day is Amit Gupta. He's a founding partner at Studio Symbiosis. He's going to be covering facade as an integral part of design, designing responsive to climatic condition facades, and iterative generative facade design techniques incorporated in design. It's going to be a 30-minute presentation by him, followed by Amit Malhotra on right products for the right applications, and then followed by ML Chandrasekhar on sealants and foams for the right windows and door installation. This is today's schedule. We have a presentation by Amit Gupta first, followed by Amit Malhotra, and then ML Chandrasekhar. At the end, we will have a joint Q&A. These are our upcoming webinars. So next Tuesday and Thursday, we have one on zinc facades and one on fabric facades. So these are our 2 upcoming webinars, and you can register for them at webinars.wfmmedia.com. So without wasting much of time, I will go ahead and I will share the control to Amit Gupta to start his presentation. Just a second.
Shaker and myself will go on mute and camera.
Yes. Yes, should work now.
Thank you, Ahad. Thank you, Amit. Thank you for the introduction. So for us, the topic of today, which we're looking at, is symbiotic built ecology in terms of integrated facade systems. So when we speak about facades, one of the mistakes or one of the perception is that facade is an add-on to any building. But the point of this presentation is to showcase that facade is not an add-on to any building. It is very integral to the architecture. So architecture has a very big responsibility in creating a sustainable tomorrow. Architecture itself is responsible for 40% of carbon footprint in the United States alone. So this is what we have been doing as a species, that polar bears have ice melting away, the corals are bleached. So in reality, we have a lot of issues in nature, but we have been quite ignorant of this till now. Now this is something which is actually coming and hurting us in how we live. This is a diagram which shows the carbon footprint of US. So in terms of the facade design, the 3 topics of discussion today relate to these various aspects of design. The first one is climate and surroundings. So climate in terms of how we make climate responsive facades, along with response to the immediate surroundings. Architecture cannot be the same everywhere. Architecture has to respond to the place it is built in. So this is the first topic. Second topic is, as I said earlier, that facade cannot be seen as an independent entity. It has to be integral to the design itself. The third one going forward is that with our generation, we have a lot of computational tools and techniques available to us. Now, these techniques can be used in 2-3 ways. One is, of course, the design stage. Second is the execution stage. And of course, in between, we rationalize the system. So by going through these various iterations of design, we can create a very robust and efficient facade system. Now, coming to the first topic of symbiosis with climate and surroundings. The project which I would like to showcase first is a villa in Arizona. So here we started looking at the immediate surroundings, and this is a rock formation which we found. So the great thing with nature, it does not have any distinction in terms of the built, landscape, or any iteration on the form itself. Here you can see the built very nicely emerging from the landscape. The lines of the landscape, they flow very fluidic, in a very fluidic manner on the facade. So it's all one comprehensive system. It's not something which is broken into various elements. So what we did was we took this 5-acre site where the client requirement was only 600 square meter of area, which is on the right. and on the left, it's a show arena for horses. So the client is into horse trading, and this is his passion also. So essentially what we arrive from this is a build form which responds to the surrounding topography, and thereby we create a system where the built and landscape are integrated with each other. Now in this case, we had two different ideas which we were trying to achieve. One was to give maximum view from inside out, because we had this amazing desert landscape around it. On the back, we had Pinnacle Peak, which is amazing views of the mountain, and city lights in front of us. So, but how do you achieve these two things? How do you get a lot of glass, but still make sure that shading inside the space? So the answer was very simple for us: to create deep cantilevers, which make sure that the direct sun is cut during the peak hours, and also sun is always in motion. It's not like we have to cut the sun of each and every time of the day. So in this case, what we have is that the evening sun comes in, the winter sun comes in, but the peak summer sun is cut by the form and the facade. So when we speak about integration of facade systems with the surroundings, here the build form sits in a symbiosis with the surrounding, and it also opens and closes. This opening and closing is of course done for a structural purpose, and also it closes up at times to create spaces which require more privacy. The second project is a tower which we are doing housing project in Versova. So here the site itself is 4 acres. The beautiful thing about the site is the view which we are getting from the site. So the client brief was very interesting. He wanted 2 different towers on the site, and which created a bit of issue for us because the second tower was actually hiding the first one. So what we started doing was creating this elliptical form, and by rotating it, we tried to do a lot of iterations of how we can get maximum view and full view from each apartment of the water. So this evolution diagram of how we start doing it. So of course, the lower 5 floors are the podium for the park, and on the upper floors, we start creating this dancing tower. So in reality, what happens is the facade opens up towards the water. So what you see in the image here is all glass, and then it starts closing up. So if I would show you other side view, this would be completely closed where the core is also sitting. So by using this system, we could create a design whereby the facade is completely open towards the view which we need, and it starts closing on the other side. Also, it gives us apartment to apartment privacy, but also from within the apartment, we have very nice views of the water. So again, in this case, the design is a direct response to the immediate surrounding in terms of the views which we're getting from the apartment and from the tower. So although you can say that the facade itself is not very extravagant, but the form and the function actually come together to create this design, whereby the entire thing comes together as one, and you cannot really distinguish which part of the build form is facade and which is architecture and which is structure. This is a very interesting project for us. It's a 18-acre riverfront development in Pune. So the client brief was to create a very iconic undulating surface for a shopping experience and commercial experience. The entire site actually falls in the high flood line, this front part of it. And the idea for us was to take this erosion principle from nature, because the site itself is eroded over years, it's flooded every year, and the water recedes back. So looking at this erosion principles for nature, we started looking at this undulating form. Now to start the design itself, we first plotted the high flood line and the low flood line on the site, and then this attractive points were plotted on the site to create this undulating grid. Now this is the erosion principle which actually guides the entire design, the build and the landscape, and also the facade system. The building actually glows in the night. So the idea was that the perforations on the roof, and also there's a lot of towers in the back, which also belongs to the same development. So in this case, the roof also becomes a part of the facade and not just the front elevation. So for us, play of light and shadow is very critical in design. So by doing this undulating surfaces, we were getting very nice shadow conditions. And of course, the facade opens up. Being a shopping mall, we had we could really sculpt the building a lot. So we could create closed spaces on the lower floor, and there was not a lot of light condition required in certain areas. So we really saw it as a sculpted form, whereby we can create these perforations on the upper floors and close the form on the lower area. Now coming on to the next one, this is a central train station for Gwalior. I think 1.5 years ago, we won this 2 international design competition for Gwalior train station and Baipanali train station. Now for us, it was very interesting when we started the design, because in a design competition, we have to, at times you can get in the trap of thinking about what the jury is thinking. But we thought, let's do what we think is the best and just forget about everything else. So for us, it was not just creating a space or creating architecture, it was creating social space. Site is located central to the historic city and the new city. And for us, it was really connecting the two and creating a social space in the center where the entire city comes together. Now, in terms of the design evolution, the heart of the project is this existing train station. So although it's not a listed building by UNESCO, but it's a heritage building. So for us, the idea was to retain the existing building and build and weave our design along with it. So these are the existing arches on the build form. An arch actually is a very good system of structure. It's not just about architecture, but it was also about structure for us in a train station. So we extrapolated these arches and transformed this into a 3D model. Now in a train station for us, the scale of the station is very important because the platform sizing at times we need 32-meter spacing column to column. So by doing this domical structure, gave us the possibility of creating a system whereby the roof itself can actually become a module, incorporating the columns also. And this one module is repeated based on the spacing which is allowed. This train station is an existing train station, so the platforms are predefined, and we could not even reduce the platform sizes. These are predefined, so the largest span which we're getting is 32 meters. So in this case, if you would ask me which part is facade, which is architecture, it's very difficult. It's one comprehensive system whereby the form, function, structure, facade, services, they all integrate in one. Also, although we have given this huge glass panels at the entrances, we also have this deep cantilevers. So, and also high performance glass is proposed here. The idea is that when a person is coming, it gives us a very nice welcoming gesture to the visitor. Some people say that glass is bad. Glass is bad if you use it not in the right way and you don't think how you're using it. So I think as long as you are very systematic in terms of how you use it and conscious and you do solar simulation, this can actually give you a very good opportunity in terms of openness of the design. In terms of the roof, we also again try to play with a pattern of light and shadow. It's something which is very easy to animate because the sun is moving throughout the day. So the shadow patterns on the floor will also animate. Different systems are used inside and outside. Outside we're using GRC and inside we're using FRP and GRG. The reason being that we are looking at a watertight facade and also the loading of the facade and the costing. So all these three things, we try to create a balance in terms of how we create the system itself. On the platform, this gave us this amazing perspective whereby the arches create a repetitive system of light and shadow. And also in terms of the height, the top of the concourse actually extends out onto the platform and creates the entire architecture. Now, the second topic of this particular presentation is how facade can be integrated with design itself. So this project is Perfume Park and Museum. It's an 80-acre project in Kannauj. The design brief, it is based on the fact that Kannauj and Gras in France, there is a Twin City agreement to create a skill development center in Kannauj, whereby there'll be distillery and they'll be showcasing the existing ISRO of Kannauj in the museum at the center, at the heart of the complex. So for us, if it's a perfume park and museum, we did not want to go very literal and create another lotus temple. We started looking very closely in terms of what it means to be a flower. What is a flower? So the center of a flower, in this case a sunflower, in this case this flower center, it actually radiates out, and the base system is a Fibonacci series. So it is based on golden ratio and it's a exponentially growing grid. So this grid was analyzed and developed. And furthermore, we took the site and we grafted the pattern on the site itself. It gave us the opportunity of this radiating pattern whereby the museum is kept in the center. So this museum is where all the ISRO and so this is where visitors will come, and this is also for informing the people of India about what the center is, and of course people visiting. So in terms of the design requirement, we have a requirement of flower bed to grow the flowers for the perfume. and we required bigger plots around in the surrounding. So what we have here is on the left, we have these bigger plots which are around 5 to 10 acres for perfume distillery. We have skill development center on the right, and the center park is completely dedicated to the perfume park and museum. So in terms of unifying the facade system with the design, the reason I want to show this project is that the entire thing comes from this one base pattern. And then this base pattern actually evolves and creates the facade of the system, whereby in this view, which we have, like the 3 petals which are there, it comes from the base pattern itself, the pattern of a flower. And these 3 petals have 3 distinct functions within. And if you ask me which part is again facade and function, because we have again used the deep cantilevers with glass to give us more visibility. It's a low height structure. Of course, the scale of a project matters a lot. If we were to design something which is 120 meters, then how we treat the facade would be different. But in something which is only ground floor, we can be a bit more experimental and create something more extravagant. So the pattern of the landscape is projected on the ceiling, which creates, in the outdoor area, it also creates the lighting system, which actually accentuates the inside. So this is how the building sits in terms of the surroundings. So this one was the most difficult project for us. The project is Hilton Kathmandu. In terms of symbiosis with design, in terms of a facade system. So we all know hospitality is all about how we can make systems efficient. We cannot do something which is non-standard, and we cannot do something which will be very difficult to execute. Now the design brief was to create a system where we take something from local culture, which is the culture of Kathmandu. Now this created a very big problem for us as a practice, because we are usually into contemporary architecture, and we're always trying to investigate new systems. So using wood or using carving, old carvings was not something we were really interested in. For us, it's very important that we are excited about the project going forward. So the end solution was actually the prayer flags of Kathmandu. Instead of looking at the architecture of Kathmandu, we started looking at the prayer flag. It's one element which is in the entire surroundings of the city. It's there, but it's not there. So we use this very colorful flag, which are actually signs of, they create a sense of aura in the space which they're in. And we transform them into this vertical dichroic panel on the facade, which actually creates this sense of prayer flags of Kathmandu into the architecture. So the building is opened up on the right side to the views of the city. And on the left, these magenta panels are the dichroic panels. So by doing this, we create dichotomy. We are not really wrapping this all around. We also want to have views opening up. And the facade actually becomes these balconies. These are balconies on every alternate floor. And on the left side, it stops the pattern from running around the entire building. So in a way, we try to create this dichotomy. And also when you're moving around the facade, it creates this different perspectives. From left side, you'll see something else. And from the right side, you will see something else. On the upper floors, we push the system back. The entire thing is single curved glass, so the optimizations were done. And we have a glass wastage of 2.5% right now in the entire building. The bands itself are made of GRC, whereby the mullions are actually being reinforced. The biggest problem for us with GRC is the weight, but the plus point is that it's a very long-lasting material. So what we did here, instead of puncturing the slab and going through the spandrel panel, we actually create a system whereby we strengthen the mullion and we can have GRC directly there. So this is a worm's eye view looking up, whereby all these dichroic panels, they are there, which are fixed on the grid of the facade. And they also, from inside the room, they're not really blocking the view. If you were to use wood, this would have blocked the view from inside out. So for us, this is a classic example of how we can integrate design with facade. The next one is really where the facade takes a bit of a backdrop and the nature takes the foreground. So the green part of the entire design is actually what creates the facade system. So in this particular design, which is Baipanelli train station, we looked at the garden city concept, and this is how the garden city of India is actually depleting in terms of grain cover. So you can see this went from 68% to only 6.46%. So we use this garden city concept and we unroll this, creating a system of design whereby all the elements are flowing. We create maximum surface area on the facade. So in a station building, it's very important to create multiple entry points. Otherwise, it's very difficult to control how people are coming in and going out. And then furthermore, the form responded to the trains which are coming on either side, giving us this form. So here, the idea for us that since Bangalore has a depleting green cover, we transform the architecture and the facade of the space into this green facade. So the roofscape, thankfully in Bangalore, the temperature is very ambient. So we can use outdoor spaces as a chill-out space for people who are there moving around. And there's a long hold also in terms of a train station. So people who are waiting for trains, they can come to the roof and use it as a chill-out space. And furthermore, these iconic buildings which have played around the station are for two reasons. One is, of course, to expand the station so we can get more areas for the station, but also they act as this iconic buildings from a distance. So it's a visual marker also. The station is low height, but these buildings give us a visual marker when someone is traveling. So these are just some views where the facade actually extends in. So the courtyards are punctured in the form, and this entire garden city concept of the surroundings is brought inside the building itself. So of course, structure is very critical in every case in a project like this, because you have to make sure that wherever there's movement happening, you're not obstructing the movement. Now, this is a project which we finished last December. It has been operational for 1.5 years. It's DoubleTree Hilton Ahmedabad. Here, the idea for us was to create a building which becomes as a welcoming gesture for the visitor, and also the landscape and the build form they integrate with each other. So in terms of design, the entire form facade system, we come together where the landscape ripples onto the facade and creates this build form. As architects, we're often asked that, or if the image, the concept design image will look the same as the built image. So this is the image of the constructed project. This is some of the initial images during construction process, whereby the solid aluminum panels were being erected. Now, iterative design. In terms of iterative design, we have all these computational tools and techniques which are available to us. So for us, it's very important to use this design. This is the old project from the office. This, I think, is 6-year-old. But still, it's very important for us because this was the first project where we started using tools to reduce solar heat gain. So through simulation systems, we reduced the heat gain of the building by 42%, where all the efficiency ratios were checked and an iterative loop was generated. So I don't know if you can see, but the opening ratios of all the 4 facades are being calculated in real time, which gave us the actual ratio which we should follow to create this optimized and robust design. And then going forward, we try to use patterns of India. We did not want to create something which is alien to the city. It was a conscious choice that the form and the floor spaces are very contemporary, but the facade is a bit more traditional in nature. So we took this system of overlapping hexagons, 3 hexagons which are overlapping, and by changing the ratio of the scaling pattern, we created this various opacity ratios on the different facades of the building. So here the facade generously opens up on the ground floor and lets people in. This is the facade ratio study which we generated. Now for us, this project is again very critical in terms of execution. The pattern is such that we cannot run any diagonal or vertical member. So for us, the final detailing which we have done is that we are hanging the panels from floor to floor. And initially the material was GRC. So we were also trying to look how to optimize the system to create a symphony between how the design should be and what the material can allow us to do. So here you can see clearly that there's no way we can run any member vertical or horizontal without it showing on the outside. So the last project of this presentation is a small villa. So here the interesting thing for us was it's a very small villa, and we actually believe that to look into the future, we have to always study the past. And understanding things from the past, we can create systems and subsystems which we can use. So in this case, you're looking at this courtyard typology, where a courtyard actually was helping us in cooling the spaces of a villa or a house or a hotel. In this case, it's the Lake Palace. So we took the form, the requirement of the client, and we stuck the water body inside, which is the swimming pool. And based on the sun direction and the design intent, we created this amalgamation of the built and the landscape. So here the built and landscape become as one. So solar studies were done to see in terms of iterative design how we can cut down the winter summer sun and let the winter sun in. So this is something which we are usually doing for most of the projects. And in this one, you can see that the winter sun is actually letting through. And also, being a residential project, we had this requirement of hiding spaces behind because privacy is required. So we could use this facade very nicely to come in and hide the spaces which are requiring more privacy. This is another view of the same. Another thing is that this build form itself is actually connected to an old building. So the bridge on the left actually comes from the building and then starts exploding, creating this form in front of us. So here the built landscape really becomes one. And although a lot of back-end iterative design is being done, also for this, Hilton, Ahmedabad, other projects, the thing is not really about showing the process, it's all about the final product. So Ahad, I think I'm on time. So this is it from my side, handing you back. Hello.
Yeah, Amit, I'll take over from Ahad's side. I think, yes, we are very much on time. So far, so good. And thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I'd like to take the subject forward. By chance, I am the next speaker and the presenter. I am going to talk something different with all of you today who are present. I'm going to take the subject digress a little bit into an aspect of not religion, but to do things right. So let me change my.
Sorry, Amit, what are you saying?
No, nothing. I said I just have to change myself to presenter, and that's what I'm doing. Thank you very much, Amit. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening once again. And I'm just going to run through a few of my slides which I've prepared today to maybe get into another perspective going from what's happening today. So today I'm going to be talking about a subject called let's do things right. And let's always do right things. I'm pretty much focusing today on a subject of hardware for building windows, doors, and accessories. And just to give you a little brief, my name is Amit Malhotra. I lead a group of companies called McCoy. Our businesses included McCoy Sodal. We have a manufacturing plant in Bawal, north of Delhi. We have a business called McCoy 8M, where we produce window and door hardware from around the world. We have another business called McCoy Performance, which is into silicons for chemicals. We have a plant in Powai, and then in Vasai, and a new one coming up in Silvassa. We have this business, which is the Window and Facade magazine, co-founded by Ahad and myself many years ago, and our association with ZAC goes back when we started the ZAC exhibitions in 2003. And the latest business that we have is called McCoy Mart, which is a construction industry marketplace. We employ over 250 people across the country and now across Southeast Asia. So anyways, without taking too much time, and as some of you know that I talk too much and I spend too much time talking, I'm going to show you some slides, which is going to take me straight into the subject here. Now, what you see here, and I know that the audience here is a mixture of architects, developers, fabricators, contractors, and so on. I just want to put a point here now. If you see the picture here, it shows this roller. It's a double roller. It's damaged. So what's actually happened here is the fact that the sash weight was much higher than the load capacity of the rollers. Now what's happening here, this is a very general point which is happening in a majority of projects. Every hardware has a specific capacity of weight load bearing. Now fundamentally what I'm trying to bring together in this presentation is that let's do the right things. The installer of the particular window here was either aware or unaware of the fact that this particular roller will not suffice this application, but he still went ahead and do it. The point ye nahi hai ki ye roller kharab tha. The point is it was not meant for this application. I take you through another slide, and it's showing a McCoy friction stay here. And you can see on the left hand side there is a rusting which has happened. Now this rusting has not happened because the friction stay was faulty. It's because this was supposed to be using a stainless steel screw. So there's bimetallic corrosion. So the cost is maybe a few paisa or a few rupees here or there. Now this rusting will now spread. It will spread across the stays area. It will affect the functionality of the window, the opening and closing. It's a small penny-wise, pound foolish kind of a job. Whose loss? Eventually, if the fabricator has to, or the manufacturer has to replace this entire window, it's going to cost him time, money, and a great loss of reputation. And I think a lot of people do this. कि चल जाएगा, हो जाएगा, दिखा जाएगा. I think it's all about the change of attitude. I'll show you another one. Again, this is a purpose. One of our handles was used in one of these projects. If you can read, the handles for outward open had a base width of 18 mm, but they used a 28 mm base width handle. So obviously the handle opening was clashing. Now why did this was done? Many reasons possible. The supplier of hardware, even ourselves, didn't have the products, or the guy wanted to do it in a hurry, or something was cheaper than the other. Let's not get into that part of the story. The part of the story here is to do the right thing. And the right thing is always the right thing. And the wrong things are plenty. You could. But the question that I put here is, should the fabricator not have done the right karma by suggesting and providing the correct handle? I'll show you another one. This is complex. I guess this is a window ventilator. If you look carefully, it's opened like 90 degrees. Normally, a top hung window, I'm not a great technical guy, but I know this much for sure. And normally a top hung window should not exceed 30-25 degrees. Now in this case, the top hung window is completely open. This is the wrong hinge for the wrong application. What if it's a little child who's looking out, or there's a dog, or somebody can just jump out? I do remember 10 years ago there was a huge project of maybe 50-60 stories, and I don't want to take any names. And there were windows which were outward opening at 7 feet high, or doors outward opening. Look at the wind speed in Bombay, and they were outward opening. So I did ask the client at that time, why are you using this? It's because India is very used to outward opening. I don't think that's the right answer. That India is capable, man. Look at today's situation of how our country is managing this crisis. Now I'm going to just show you quickly a small video. I hope that it's visible. I would not like to name where and how. This is a window. This is a house in a multi-storied apartment in India. The cost of this apartment, it's a 5,000 square feet apartment, is close to 6-7 crores, maybe now less. I just want to show you this window. It's a muscle.
So we have a sliding door here that does not open. The ball bearings at the bottom are broken, so it does not slide.
Now, the reason I showed you this video was just to demonstrate that we should be able to sell products where, or install products where it's not a fight of muscle. So the poor customer, he paid in full, and somebody compromised. Whether it was the developer, whether it was the architect, whether it was the fabricator, or all of them together. But that's not the point here. His compromise was either a known compromise or an unknown compromise. I think the focus for the consumer, for the fabricator, for the manufacturer, for the developer, for the whole community, when it comes to particularly to doors, windows, and products that you install, and it's very successfully done in the facade business, but not so much in the window and door business, is that compromise is done on functionality. Functionality for a application such as a window and door is that it should always work. It should be durable. You're looking at a certain lifespan, 10 years, 15 years, life of the particular structure. You should look very, very carefully about the safety and security, especially for our children, theft. And then finally look at the price. So I did a lot of math with my sales teams, almost 100 people across different cities. And we did a lot of maths. If you were to just replace that small tiny touch lock, which is used in UPVC, or the small Bombay sliding handle, if you replace it with something which is more correct, functional, durable, and safe, the cost of the whole window will change by 5 to 15 rupees per square feet. By changing that price point of 5 to 15, maybe 20 rupees a square feet, you will get functional windows which will last. You'll have durable windows which will last. They'll be safe and secure. They'll have locking points. They'll be airtight, watertight, and they'll still be affordable. So what I really want to put together, and I thought about this a lot, is to be able to create positive karma. I'm sure a lot of people here respectfully do believe in karma, that for every application there is a right product. And I think in most of our cases, the professionals that we are aware of what is right product for the right application. You know, as of today, I just to share, God is watching, and I think because of all the, I won't say sins, but whatever was done by the whole humanity on our planet, I think this punishment to us in terms of sitting at home, which is not a punishment, I think it's a great thing. We don't want to create another crisis like Corona, and I think it's very important to do. Amit Gupta previously was talking about creating some wonderful looking buildings, and in the past seminars, and we know that there is always the right thing to do. But that corner cutting, jugaad, trying to do fast, trying to cut the corner, trying to save extra money, whatever extra money was saved by everybody in this whole world is probably going to be accumulated over 10, 15, 20 years of your life, and will be paid back within the next 6 months of whatever extra money you accumulated. Businesses will be there, some of it will not be there. Let's not do things which will cause a negative karma. I just want to add a couple of slides here. We started as part of an association that I am also part of, UDMA, which is a UPVC window and door. We started this karma concept, tried to explain to customers. This is largely on social media and by all the community of our UPVC windows and doors. We took a campaign to showcase, do all the windows look the same? Everything is not gold. And we created two characters, Mr. Gupta and Mr. Sharma, and trying to say, both the guys have similar looking windows. What's the difference in the two? And then we're trying to go further. This campaign started a couple of weeks ago in terms of a window and a door and a structure and a facade should be leak proof, air proof, sound insulated, no discoloration, and so on and so forth. So every day, every couple of days, we're adding new facets to the aspect of a window and door for the consumer, for the developer, for the architect, to give more attention to detail, like you do for your flooring and for your sanitary ware. My humble request would be to give a little bit more attention to detail on this subject as well, which is doors and windows, and typology to the functionality of these doors and windows as well. So this campaign is on social media, and I guess we're trying to do our part. Finally, I learned from across different parts of the world that I'm part of. In today's times, it's not a message, it's just my personal feeling. Be brutally honest with your employees, with your teams, with your customers. Please present today's rationale for hope. Whatever your reasons for survival and how you will survive, be a very positive rationale. Please, my request, don't waste your time on useless social media. Kindly follow what Modi ji says and respect stay at home, respect the fact that we have to maintain social distancing. This COVID is not going away so soon. We'll have to know that this is a 3 to 6 month phenomenon. Really thanks to all our healthcare, police, administration, government. One thing I've learned is McCoy and my team, we are in touch with all our customers, suppliers. We are also doing a lot of webinars. Keep in touch with all your customers, your community. Read, learn, attend as many seminars. Of course, enjoy the family time, which is very, very important. जो होगा सबके लिए होगा, and अच्छा ही होगा. So finally, I always say balle balle. I'm always an optimist, and I believe that everything will happen will be for the better. Once the World War III ends, which is now, we must be more positive. We must be very conscious, and we must take life and make responsibility that if somebody is moving into a house where you have supplied a product, that wo aapko gali na de, aapko high na de. Let's only take the good blessings from people and take it from there. Yeah, thank you very much for your time, and I will now roll it back So Ahad, I guess he's not there at the moment. I will just change presenter to Chandrasekhar, who will now. Just Chandrasekhar, 1 second. Sorry. While you think about whatever we can do in life, it's very important to know that we must only do the right thing. So Shekhar, I'm just making you a presenter. You can start sharing your screen now.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chandrasekhar, and today I will be speaking on the subject of sealant, acrylic, and foam in fenestration. The topics that I would be covering today is the silicone sealant, acrylic sealer, uses of acrylic, functions of a window, issues with the window installation, what is a PU foam, application, and a foam calculator. So, the window has been fabricated and it has been fixed on the cavity of the wall. The last process is to seal the perimeter area with a silicone on the exterior and the acrylic on the interior. So what is a silicone? Silicone is a viscous paste with a base of polymer and plasticizer and various other ingredients. So once it cures, it becomes into a vulcanizing rubber, which stays weatherproof. It has got excellent elasticity, excellent UV resistance, and is stable in all kinds of weather conditions. So, so this is a silicone sealant which is applied on the exterior. And what is an acrylic? It's a plastoelastic gap filler, easy to use, economical sealant, provides excellent addition for gaps in low movements. And also an acrylic, the uses of an acrylic is basically in many ways. Could be used for grouting, jointing, sealing between doors, windows. It's also paintable. It's low on flexibility and crack resistance. Has a good adhesion on most surfaces. A very smooth finish. The non-slump, low odor, and non-toxic, and suitable for interior and exterior application. As also it has UV resistance. So what are the functions of a window? When we talk about functions of a window should allow the natural light, number one, natural ventilation, vision, barrier to rain and dust, heat insulation, sound insulation, energy efficient. So why do we have to seal a perimeter area? So what could be the problems in a window that we could expect? Of course, there are air leaks, and there are water leakages, the thermal insulation issues, there are sound insulation issues, and of course, there's no vapor tightness, and there are, of course, mold formation as well. So what happens is basically if you seal a window properly and you have the air con or you have the heater inside the house, so if you seal the windows properly or insulate them properly, you have a good energy saving and it saves a lot of money as well. And also it prevents from the outside nature to come in, like the rain, heat, sound, and also the insects to come in. So what happens if you don't seal the windows properly is basically, or insulate them properly, is basically you will have some kind of a mold formation. And if you see these thermal images, wherever you see this blue marks on the window, these are the places the cold air is coming out. And then if you have heaters inside, the heat is coming out. And then if you see the thermal bridging images, if you see the both the images put together, these are the areas that the bridging happens. So it is very important that if there is a leakage in the window perimeter area, your air con or your heater starts to take on more load. That increases the electric power. It increases your expenses. So it is very, very important that the windows is totally insulated properly. So what happens if you don't seal them properly? These are some of the images where you can actually see the mold formation. This is only because of the moisture contents within the house, in the corners of the window, where the leakages is happening in a window. Why does this happen? Basically, is what do we do usually is put a very small layer of silicone or an acrylic inside and outside. Probably it's just a 5 mm of thickness, and then the thickness of the depth also is about 5 mm, and in between there is absolutely nothing. It's hollow. So there is some sort of condensation that takes place which migrates out, and this is the kind of mold formation that happens, which then it actually shows that the quality of the total installation was not done properly. Even though the window that you call a window a complete system, because there are so many things that are put inside to make a complete system, the system does not have a value if they are not sealed properly. So uh, why are these reasons happening? Because one thing we should not forget is a window cannot be insulated without the foam filling in between the cavity. Now, what does the foam do is basically a foam is a self-expanding one component polyurethane foam which expands into small what do you call cells. It expands like a bubble formation. These are all called cells. As they expand, the more the cells formation. Hello?
Shekhar, could you use a little bit of Hindi edition as well? Some people are
Sorry?
requesting for some Hindi edition. Part of Hindi, part of English.
Okay. Okay. So basically PU foam जो होता है वो एक component, one component product होता है foam basically, and ये जो चीज होती है एक गैप में जब एक्सट्रूड करते हैं इसको ये सेल्फ एक्सपैंड होता है और स्मॉल बबल्स फॉर्मेशन होती हैं और इसको बोलते हैं हम सेल फॉर्मेशन। और जितना ज्यादा सेल फॉर्मेशन होती है इतनी ज्यादा मतलब उसकी स्ट्रक्चरल स्ट्रेंथ होती है। And foam is not only a gap filler, it is also an adhesive. ये एक adhesive भी होता है। इसका जो काम होता है इसकी बॉन्डिंग यूपीवीसी या जो भी प्रोडक्ट हो मेसनरी या वॉल के साथ अच्छी रहती है और विंडो की एक स्ट्रक्चरल स्ट्रेंथ बनी रहती है। द स्ट्रक्चरल स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द विंडो इंक्रीजेस बाय extruding the foam inside. So now what happens is once you extrude the foam, these are the two types of foam. One is a straw grade and a gun grade. When we extrude the foam inside, the foam actually expands itself. ये अंदर की तरफ expand करके हर एक कोने के अंदर जाके जम जाता है. It expands into every crevices inside the window cavity and it becomes airtight. ये मतलब हवा अंदर जाने का मौका ही नहीं होता, हवा को बाहर निकल देता है. तो ये डालने के बाद आफ्टर एक्सट्रूडिंग द फोम इसको एक्सपैंड होने दीजिए. आफ्टर एक्सपेंशन ये हार्ड हो जाएगा लाइक अ थर्माकोल की तरफ हार्ड हो जाएगा. इट बिकम्स लाइक अ थर्माकोल. आफ्टर दैट एक पेपर कटर लेके इसको कट कर सकते हैं एंड आफ्टर कटिंग इसको जो अपनी उंगली के साथ इसको अंदर दबा के, क्योंकि एक कैविटी बनाना है, यू नीड टू मेक अ डेप्थ so that you fill the silicone on top of it. So once that is done, you put a silicone and then you tool it across with a silicone and an acrylic exterior and interior with a soapy foam to give it a smooth finish. अब जो है your window is totally insulated. ये जो विंडो का टोटल इंसुलेशन अभी जो बनता है बेसिकली जो अंदर की कैविटी इन बिटवीन बाहर की सिलिकॉन और अंदर की एक्रेलिक और बीच में जो फोम आ गया है, द फोम इन बिटवीन हैज फिल्ड द कैविटी एंड यू हैव अ टोटल टाइट सॉल्यूशन एंड नाउ द एंटायर विंडो इज टोटली इंसुलेटेड. इसका जो डेसिबल वैल्यू होता है एक 58 डेसिबल्स की आपको बेनिफिट मिलती है and also the thermal insulation increases. So any window which it's a system basically, as I said before, that many things put together make a window. And if the last process of sealing the perimeter joint, जो आखिर प्रोसेस होता है जो सीलेंट का, अगर उसको हम इग्नोर करते हैं तो वो विंडो की वैल्यू चली जाती है। तो जो भी होगा आखिर में विंडो का ये चीज जो सिलिकॉन होता है, फोम होता है और एक्रेलिक, ये चीज बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट होती है टू कंप्लीट द विंडो सिस्टम। तो अगर ये देखो, ये एक्सपेंशन होके इस तरह बाहर आएगा विंडो प्रोफाइल में, तो इसको काट के वी डू दी silicon tooling over it. After that we do also have a foam calculator. अगर आपको पता लगना चाहिए कि आपकी कितनी foam use होती है, how much of volume of foam that you would be using, there are two calculators for a regular foam and a gun foam. So you just need to fill in the dimensions and then you get the output in meters for a straw grade, and then if you see the lower one is for the gun grade. So this is in an Excel file. ये आके Excel file में ये आप सबको हम शेयर कर सकते हैं आपके बेनिफिट के लिए। तो हमारी एक विंडो जो पैकेज होती है, these are the packages, एक फोम हो गया, एक सिलिकॉन हो गया, एक एक्रिलिक हो गया, और एक और चीज है, we have an UPVC cleaner. At the time of handing over the project to the client, there are certain areas, probably the profiles are all dirty. You could actually use the UPVC cleaner to clean the profile and then hand over the project. ये UPVC cleaner लेके हम clean कर सकते हैं, जहाँ पे भी गंदगी है तो hand over करने से पहले इसको हम use कर सकते हैं। तो this actually completes my presentation. To summarize, sealing the perimeter area comes the last stage of the installation and is equally important to seal and insulate the window with foam, silicone, and acrylic for better foam performance and the complete window system. Thank you. Thank you for your time and participation. Thank you, sir. That would be all.
Thank you, Shekhar.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much on time. So far, so good. We are doing a great job. Thank you, audience, for being there. We had about 400 registrations today for a Saturday. That's not so bad. I'll just change back to the screen settings. So just request Amit to come back and switch on his camera. Architect Amit Gupta, and a few questions have come in. So just want to take one by one. Amit Gupta, a couple of questions. Which material is used in the magenta color in Hilton Hotel, Kathmandu?
So dichroic, so essentially what we have is, we look at a lot of options in terms of how to achieve this dichroic. It's the external application. So we cannot use something which is a film which is exposed to the outside environment. The final solution is it's a laminate glass with a dichroic film inside. We also look at the option of dichroic glass, but this was coming out very expensive. So the final solution, and also delamination was looked at this on the delamination issue. So this is what we're going for.
Okay, there's one more question for you, which comes from Anand Chawan. The last question was raised by Shantavan Saxena. If anybody has any other questions which we are unable to answer today, kindly do send them here only, and we'll send it to the presenters. How critical, Amit, is the window wall ratio? Is there any mandatory requirement as per NBC in India regarding window wall ratio?
So Amit, it's very important actually in terms of the window wall ratio of any building. The thing is, earlier these computational tools were not there. So architects had some guidelines which were in sustainable books which they would follow. I don't believe there's any guideline from the NBC for window wall ratio, otherwise we would have never had, where all these curtain glazing buildings are there. And also the projects which you're doing, they're all under construction, approved and completed. But of course, it's very critical to be mindful that if you're putting full glass, it is not really hampering the performance of the building. We are in 45 to 48 degree climate. We are not in Europe where the temperature goes from 10 to 30 degrees. So, just copying something from the West is not really the solution, and window wall ratio is very critical for our climate.
But is there a specific mention in NBC for it, Amit?
Sorry?
Is there a specific mention in the NBC for a window wall ratio?
I don't think so. There might be there's no mandate for sure. but there might be some
There's no match.
recommendation.
So there's an add-on question to the first one from Kathmandu. It says, what's the thickness of the laminated glass in Kathmandu project? Was it extra clear, and what was approximately per meter square cost, if you can give us just an idea? This comes from Sanjay Goyal.
The costing I don't remember offhand right now, because we are always looking at the entire package. In terms
What about,
of
was it
thickness,
extra clear glass?
it's okay. So in terms of the glass, we're looking at low iron glass, but we could not go with low iron glass because the costing was coming out too much. So it's the extra clear glass, and with the dichroic film inserted in between. And I believe the glass is either 6 and 6 or 8 and 8.
Okay. There's a question for another one for you. Then I'll take up the questions for Chandrasekhar. From Raina Industries, would love to connect on multiple projects. Also, you have a client. So that I would not take that question here. And of course, the only couple of thoughts which came from me is Balle Balle. So thank you very much, guys, for putting that Balle Balle back to me. This is a question which says, Architect Ashok here, how do you manage the terrace services in case of Gwalior and the Punjab Kesari project?
Punjab Kesari, but Punjab Kesari is a flat roof, no? So I don't know. It's a normal roof because the pattern.
Now, probably I'll request Ashok here to write a mail to us and put a question here, and we'll send it directly to Amit Gupta, who can answer your questions.
I can answer the Gwalior. So Gwalior is you can walk on the terrace. Of course, the loading is there because the live load has been calculated for maintenance purposes. But apart from that, there's no requirement to go on the roof in Gwalior.
Okay. There are quite a few questions for you, Chandrasekhar. We'll probably send you. I'll give you a one. Is the foam and silicon bonding allowed? Shekhar, you have to unmute yourself. I think you are on mute.
Yeah, foam is a product which can take any product along with it. Foam also is a product which can take on any kind of substrate. The bonding is excellent, or except for three products, that is PP, polypropylene, polyethylene, and Teflon. These are the only three products that it would not bond along. So it can take silicon, yes.
Shekhar, another question is sound reduction. Do we have a particular sound reduction decibel due to the foam?
Yes, as per the technical data, it gives a sound reduction of 58 decibels.
Okay, so that is the correct answer.
Yes.
Although these are products manufactured by my company and I'm very proud of it, but I prefer you as a specialist to answer. There's a question which says maximum thickness of silicon, acrylic or PU foam around the perimeter of window for ceiling. What would be the maximum? I guess you mean maximum width.
Yes, we would say a maximum of 10 mm would be the ideal kind of a gap around the perimeter area for the foam, because above 10 mm, also we can fill the foam, but then to tool the silicon, it becomes a little difficult. So 10 mm would be the ideal thing. The only thing is I would like to add one more thing to give you an extra thing. The calculation for silicon is width, volume divided by width into depth, you get the coverage of your silicon. And the foam also, we have given the calculation sheet, so I think you can calculate on that. 10 mm is the minimum size that we would opt for around a perimeter area.
I would also add to the audience, and we'll put a link to it. We've made an app called the McCoy Partner App. You can actually download the app, and every presentation, every product feature, technical data sheet, and presentations are on that app. We will share the link to all of you after. Shekhar, there's another question. What is the comparison between PU foam versus backer rod for filling the gaps?
Well, backer rod is basically made out of polyethylene. Now, polyethylene, like I said, silicon also does not go along with polyethylene. So whenever you have a sealant to bond, it has to be a two-way bonding. So that's why a PE, polyethylene, is put as a third area where the bonding actually doesn't take place with the silicon and the backer rod, and then there is a movement between the wall surface and the window surface, if at all. Now, polyurethane is, technically speaking, it has its own elasticity. It goes along with with the silicon and the acrylic and moves along. So only thing is with the backer rod, after the backer rod, there is still a cavity which needs to be filled. So that's the reason at this moment we request that the foam be put instead of the PE, that is backer rods.
Okay. Go back to that Punjab Kesari project from Gorang Bablani. Amit, this is for you. How does the connection of the facade work in the Punjab Kesari project?
Okay, so the thing is, from the very beginning, we had to account for the load of the facade. So first thing which we did was all the beams in the structure, they are on the periphery. So usually you have this cantilever coming out. So the facade, the structure is also curving filleted corners. The first thing which we did was that everything, all the beams are at the periphery. So the connection can go directly inside the beam. We're not puncturing anything. We don't have to travel inside the building. This was one. And second thing is, of course, in terms of the material loading. So we had to design a spider. We had to design a spider kind of a detail at the lower edge of the panel and the upper edge. So it was a special spider which was designed, which actually holds the panel. So this was a very complex thing which we had to work out, but in the end it works out because we found some common points where we can create this detail form. So yeah, and then it's a MS structure which
There's
goes
another
and goes
question.
into the.
There's an add-on question from Dr. Mohit Raina, who says, is ultra high performance concrete a material of choice for Punjab Kesari and Hilton Facades project?
You see, we also looked at UHPC. The thing is, Punjab Kesari we started 7 years ago, and there were, I think, Ultratech was the only one who was doing UHPC at that time. The costing was a lot. Also, we looked into UHPC again, but it was imported from Singapore. The costing was again a lot. See, the thing is, we have to always create a balance in terms of costing and the material. So till now, yes, UHPC would be a wonderful option, but we cannot also shoot the costing too much because in a GRC panel, depending on which part of the country you're executing in, it can go from, let's say, 300 to 450 rupees a square feet. Now, UHPC, I think, is coming at 600 to 800 rupees a square feet or 1200 rupees a square feet. So it's really creating a balance in terms of the cost and the look, what we're looking for. And essentially, it's the same material. It's both are concrete.
Okay. Shekhar, there's a question I put up for you. What are the options to finish the PU foam after cutting? Also, can we use PU foam when there is stone/granite jamming installed on all the 4 sides?
Yes, wherever there is, of course, if there are jamming of granite and those are protruding, of course, we cannot put foam at that area. But wherever there is a cavity, the foam can be filled. And the option is if we can always either chip a little bit inside, give a little cavity and fill that area. But otherwise, if there are jamming of granite in between, then that becomes an obstruction for the foam. But apart from that, the other areas, yes, the foam can be filled.
There's another question. How many colors are available in the weatherproofing sealant?
We have white, we have black, and we have clear. These are the 3 clears that's available. And there are some special colors like gray. We do have that as well.
You forgot to add brown in 2 colors, Shekhar.
Yes, for the mahogany colors, we have added that, yes. We have 2 colors in brown, that is the mahogany A017 and the light brown, which is 8007, the RAL numbers.
So I'll probably take one last question. Are acrylic sealants as durable, watertight as silicone sealants?
Yes, so when you're taking the subject of a window and you're talking about a joint gap size of 5 mm, the movement capability in that area is not much. When you're talking about silicon, the maximum extortion level is about 25% movement capability. So that's a little too high, but it's okay for an exterior because we need it totally weatherproof. But for an interior, the acrylic has got 15% of movement capability. So what kind of movement capability would you expect in a window after it's put hardly few mm, 1, 2 mm. So we have enough movement capability with the acrylic also, which can take care of that movement. One thing I have to add, when you are actually applying the acrylics on the window side, there has to be a little overlapping on the profile as well as on the wall, so that there is enough adhesion. So this is an important thing that's to be added.
Shikhar, is the polyurethane foam fire rated? Hitinder Malhotra wants to know.
Well, the fire-rated products are totally a different product. The foams that I had shown you on the slide, they are not fire-rated. The fire-rated products would come in a pink color, but those are different foams. Yes, we do have fire-rated foams in particular.
So if there are requirements, I guess we can offer them to the clients.
Yes, we have. Yes.
One question to Amit Gupta: how were the cantilevers designed in case of the Kannauj project? What is the understructure of the petals which are in the cantilevers? Dr. Architect Ashok from Hyderabad. Amit, you're on unmute. You just have to unmute yourself.
So, yeah, okay. So the interesting thing about this is the trick which we used is that the mullions itself are structurally reinforced mullions. First was this. Then there's also columns which are hidden behind the mullion. The entire thing is made of steel. It's a steel structure, which gives us a lightweight system, which, because the issue in these deep cantilevers is the self-load of concrete can actually collapse. The enemy is not the structure itself, it's the material which you're using to create the cantilever. So there were these multiple things, and of course, when the form comes up, this is more like a shear wall which is coming up. So it's a combination of using a shear wall with a steel structure and then reinforcing them. So these three techniques were used together to create the structural system. In terms of the second question, sorry, the material, the material for the facade. So the outside material is GRC, and inside material is the GRC for the horizontal surface. For the undersurface, which is on the facade, it's FRP, and inside is GRG. So it is really about where you touch it, it's concrete. And in terms of the finishing, it all comes together as same, which you also see in the Bombay airport. They have different materials based on water tightness, how the material will respond in terms of moisture. So these are the three materials on the facade.
There's an add-on question, Amit, and I'll close it with the last question, that the product GRC is being widely used, suggested in many projects, specifically when it comes to parametrics. As an architect, how would you relate this to a metal, zinc or copper and solid surface? He's trying to ask you a comparison between GRC versus zinc, copper and any metal.
Okay, so every material has its own beauty, and for us it's very important to use natural materials. Hilton Kathmandu, we used Hilton Ahmedabad, we use solid aluminium sheet. And I think it's incorrect to say that GRC is a choice of material for parametric. It's just that one benefit is that you can create undulating forms. See, it's how we make the material. GRC is based on mold. So anything which can be molded, you can create something which can be double curved or it can be single curved, you can give it a shape. In case of a sheet, there's limitations of how much bending you can do to a sheet or how you can form the sheet. So I think it depends on how the design is and what is the design requirement. So I think any natural material like zinc is also a fabulous material. It also, and if you want to see lines on the facade, you don't want to see the lines, you want to create a completely seamless facade. So all materials, it really depends on the design, what the design requires. I think that's how the material selection is done.
Okay, I'll wrap up with the last point from somebody here who's asking if there's a three-side bonding on expansion cracks. So fundamentally, any sealant, whether it's a silicone or an acrylic or a polyurethane, has to have a two-sided adhesion. So whatever backing material, whether it's a PU foam or a backer rod, it will not adhere to the silicone, so as to making sure that it has always a two-sided adhesion, so that the joint is has a free expansion and contraction. And of course, we will send out some presentations to you for a lot of other questions. I'm really honored that there are more than 50 questions today, and all of them are good ones, asking about application and so on. We are on time, so I'd like to thank all our wonderful audience for joining in. Amit Gupta, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay home, and request all your clients not to be chindi and do the right thing and spend the right money, and always you can help them save money if they spend the right money. Thank you, Chandrasekhar.
Okay.
And I
Thank you,
thank
sir.
myself as well, because I was the presenter as well. So thank you very much to me, and thank you all. We'll come back to you with the next session of webinar starting the coming week. Just now, just a last point, you can type wfmmedia.com. There's a new panel there called webinars. You can see the recording from the previous webinars, and you can also register yourself to the new webinars coming on board. Tab tak ke liye namaskar, khuda hafiz, shaba khair, salam, take care. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Shekhar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.